Yeah, the circle. No, go.
There we go.
All right, recording's in progress.
Hey, there he is.
What's up, dude?
Pearson, what's up, dude?
Yeah.
Dude, welcome to the cool table.
Running a little late.
Welcome. That's all right. So because we haven't done one of these like guitar-based all-together hangouts before, why don't we just go around and just say your name, what instrument you play, and then my curiosity is when you're preparing in terms of tone versus like what you're playing, what percentage does your mind when you're in like practice time at home? What are you thinking about in terms of tone versus learning parts? I'm just curious, like where you're at with that. So
I'll start. I'm Henry. I play bass. I've got pretty much no knowledge on tone, really. So, I listen like during practice for anything that really is different, like per song. I don't know, like something that really sticks out. Other than that, I don't know. I pretty much just a drive, and that's about it.
so parts 95% tone.
Pretty much, yeah. I got no knowledge on tone, so
I'll tell you what, your bass sounds incredible. Because every time I plug it in, we go, yeah, that sounds really good.
appreciate that. Appreciate that.
It's all in the hands.
All in hand. Sounds in the fingers.
I'm Jake. Play guitar.
Hi, Jake. Hi, Jake.
I don't know. I think it changes for me. Like in seasons, sometimes I'm like really dialed into tone, like 80% tone, and then like 20% parts. Other times, it's like really getting the parts down, and then the tone kind of comes more in rehearsal. But I think majority is probably more that sonically, where's the guitar sitting, and then the parts, come a little bit later.
All right. So to start with, you're saying you start with like you sitting down and going, how do I craft my tone, and then practice?
Yeah, I think so. I think too it changes with like the band. Like I think
the tone
sometimes
sort of leads you to the parts almost.
sometimes I think like it's hard because like with multi-tracks, like you go on Planning Center and there's like 18 guitar tracks per song. And it's like, okay, sick. Like one guitar is like playing one note in the whole song. It's super annoying to do that. But I think about the context, like, all right, if it's like, just me playing guitar, or there's 3 guitar players on a Sunday morning, where is my sound gonna fit in the context of all of that? And I think about parts, like, like get the tone dialed in, and then it's like, all right, I'm gonna play more, low end kind of chords here, or maybe I'm the only guitar player, I'm gonna be playing lead, but I need to be a little bit beefier on my tone. So I think it changes like kind of depending on context, but always thought for sure.
Cool.
All right, I'm Ryan.
Hey, Ryan.
Welcome, by the way. You're on second week this week, right?
Second week.
Go.
Nice, mate.
And I know you said like practice in tone. I don't think I have that much knowledge in tone, but I do practice for most of the time. But
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Very cool. I kind of knew that was his answer because Ryan's been reaching out asking for like, what are some resources? How do I find parts? So
That's
keep doing it, man. That's great.
Cool. My name's Isaac. I play bass. I think it depends on a Sunday or what I'm preparing for. I think with bass, there aren't as many different parts as like maybe playing lead, but I think the parts that are in are very important. They can add a lot of dynamics to the song. So I a lot of times will focus on like if I'm listening to the multi tracks, like really identifying some of the major parts that I'm like, okay, I think this would really add to the song, and I try and dial that in. And what I kind of like to do is find a tone I really like, and then use my dynamics to kind of distort it if I need to. With bass, like you're playing with your fingers, you can play super light, and even if you have like the tone hammer gain up, playing with the kill, like you can still get a really clean tone just by playing lighter. And then when you dig in with a pick, it'll just like bring out that grit. So I usually like try and find like a pretty universal tone that I can then manipulate and like make it dirtier, make it cleaner. And that's usually what I do. Hopefully, like I said, with the HX Stomp, I can kind of cycle through tones. But for right now, I just like try and find something that like like, cool, this fits well in the mix. Jerry likes a super dirty tone.
Yep.
That took me.
I don't like it tone. Worship leaders like it.
God likes it.
That took me some time to get used to because I remember when we did our first ever like project, I was like, oh, it just sounds so like bad in my ears. And then you listen to it in the mix and you're like, oh, yeah, it does cut through.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I mean? And so I kind of learned to embrace that like grittier sound. And it does come out well. So yeah.
Nate,
Hey, Nate.
I'm Nate.
play guitar.
And other things.
In this context, I would say it depends on the season for me. I think I have been focusing a lot on parts and getting that down, and I have a better rhythm of how I go about preparing for that, and then that now allows me the freedom to work on tone something more than I have been. So I think it just depends on the season, but I think in general it would be make sure I have all my parts down, and then I can focus more on tone while I'm here rehearsing because I've used the church board and stuff. So, yeah.
Everyone, I'm Jerry.
Hi, Jerry.
Yeah, so context, I don't play those currently, but my first instrument I played was electric guitar. Started playing lead in youth ministry. We all do. And then also was playing bass for the church on Sunday mornings. I learned the bass in middle school because on my jazz band they didn't have an electric player, but they said bass player. I was like, I guess I'll pick it up, and ended up loving it. So I love bass and electric, and then obviously now I play acoustic. I would say growing up, I definitely was always a parts person. My godfather back home in Florida, he owned a music store. It's called Dr. Music, and that's where I did lessons. He paid for my lessons for free. Like, it was like one of the best gifts I ever had for like 8 years. And he would grab an electric, plug it into a line 6, and just rip. And I would go, who cares what the presets are? Like, his tone was in his fingers. Like, he would just make anything sound great. He'd take it off the one, and he was, I mean, imagine you're the best electric player you heard, and he was above that. Like, he just never used a pick, always on his fingers, but he played a lot of jazz stuff. And he actually was like, he didn't know what chords he was playing, but he goes, oh, yeah, that's a dun, dun, dun. Like, he just knew things with his ear and was an incredible musician. Still look up to him today. But he was like, tone's good, but if you just don't know how to play good parts, it doesn't matter. Your tone's pointless. That's what he would say. So for the longest time I did, obviously I was like, I just need practice. And then I would say my right hand, honestly, like, tone's a big part in the right hand more than the left hand. You know, like, the feel is right here. And so I learned that for like multiple years with them. And then when I started getting to church, I was like, Jesus culture was a big thing. And my first lead line I ever learned was Come Away by Jesus Culture. Banger of a song, if you guys haven't heard it. And I was like, when I guitar doesn't sound like this, like, do I just press the line 6 button when I go to that song, like the preset? So then I remember buying a Boss Effect pedal. It was my first pedal, and I thought it was sick.
The multi-effects.
Yeah, I was like playing with my bag and stuff like that.
Whatever.
Yeah. It's like, look at cool. Yeah. And then I went to high school. That's where I met Caleb Fogues, who has come here and led worship. And he has stomp boxes. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess my tone is not that good. And so I would say tone came later on in my life. And to y'all's point, I'm like still not, I wouldn't say like a tone expert. But I feel like I could fish around and go, oh, I think that sounds probably 89%. And then like a Jake, Tim, or Justin will come over and say, and I'm like, oh, there it is. So, long story, but that's my little journey.
I'm Gearson.
Hey, Gerson.
Honestly, I feel like I'm a little bit of an imposter because I'm mainly a drummer.
Oh, really?
But
Don't you ever disrespect yourself.
but I do love playing the bass. I grew up playing the drums. My dad played the bass, so I was like, I want to learn other instruments. So I was like, I played the bass for a little bit. Kind of ended up loving it, and it's kind of like I guess all the bass players know, like bass drums is kind of like a love relationship. So like, I kind of got the best of both worlds. But yeah, when it comes to that, I feel like I mainly focused on like the parts, mainly because I'm a drummer. Like obviously, all the drummers, you got to learn the parts and all the cool stuff. So tone, honestly, coming here, I started learning more about tone. Like Playing here was actually the first time I ever used like a pedal board for a bass. So when I looked at it, I was like, what am I doing? And I've always just used like the normal, like the pickups on the bass. And like I said, I'm a drummer, so I like the fat bass sound, like a deep bass. So it's like, that's kind of where I'm at, where I kind of do want to learn more on tone, but I mainly focus a lot on the part and kind of like how do you articulate. Kind of like I said, I kind of think of it as a drummer. Like, how do I get this part and then make it sound good? So it's like, it's kind of where I'm at.
I'm Tim.
That's it.
I grew up playing piano first, then drums.
Oh,
Those were what I actually had lessons on. But when I was in high school, there was a bass player at my school who was playing for chapels, and I thought it was like the coolest sound ever. So that's when I picked up bass. So I was bass before guitar, and then guitar was a little bit later. But I'm always a parts person. Like I'm hearing the like melodies and what the harmonies are and what the chord progressions are. But I wonder if you guys have been to this place before where like you learn a part, but what it sounds like is nothing like you want it to sound like. And so then that's when I started to like be really interested in like the tone. Like how do I get to what I hear in my head that's different than what I'm hearing right now? And I'm gonna lead us more towards the tone conversation today. Because I've been really thinking a lot about how big our team is on platform. It's very unusual in a church setting to have as many musicians at the same time. So our mixes are way denser. And so dialing tone becomes a little bit more important because you have to sort of weave your heart in around so many other things. And so dialing in tone can really help with that. It can be the difference between like listening back to the stream and going, I don't hear myself at all, to, oh, I'm sitting right where I'm supposed to sit. Like, well, serving the song and not trying to be like it's all about me or anything like that, right? Because the heart of it is we're hoping for this house to pour out their hearts in worship in a deeper way. But dialing in tone can actually lead down toward that end. So that's sort of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to start basically kind of what I feel like are three pillars, especially when you think about fitting in the mix. EQ, for sure, one of the three pillars. Saturation, which you might not think is a pillar of tone, but when we listen to some of the people like dialing in their rigs, saturation becomes a big part of what they're feeling and listening for. And Isaac kind of got at it a little bit, like dialing in a tone that then is dynamically reacts to your hands. And so saturation is a big part of that. And then dynamics. And for our church rigs here, we've got these awesome Cali 76 compressors, which is a big part of dynamics, but they're a little bit complicated to dial in. So that's sort of all the effects pedals that we have over here, that compressor pedal might make or break whether the tone's right or not. Especially if you have everything else dialed in well, you can really mess it up with the compressor settings, or it can be even better with the compressor settings. So those are the three pillars that I want us to think about: EQ, saturation, and dynamics. And so if you guys could just move your chairs so that you can see the TV really well. And we're going to start with bass. And we have our bass board modeled almost exactly after this guy's Bethel bass board. And so he's going to talk about dialing in the tone hammer first. And so we're going to listen and then talk about those three things: EQ, dynamics, and saturation, and sort of figure out like what we're hearing. So yeah, come on over, gather around. This guy's David Funk.
I've watched a couple of
That can't be his last name.
Oh, absolutely. That's a great bass guy last name, isn't it?
I mean, we got Jake King.
That's true.
Come on.
David is like top tier.
Mid-ons.
We're going to talk about starting all the way from the bass itself to the kind of strings you use, the picks,
I'm gonna fast forward
cetera, et cetera.
to-
Get that jazz bass out of here.
What do you guys notice already about the tone?
Distorted.
Pretty dirty.
Wash your hands, kids, okay? Worship is all about clean hands and pure heart, especially the clean
That's how he
hands
keeps
when
his
you're
strings fresh. He wants to
So,
watch.
anyway, let's dive into the pedals. The center of attention, besides Jesus, is the tone hammer. The tone hammer is, let's call it a must. The tone hammer is a must for the way that I like to build my tone. So if you're just getting started, my first recommendation is get a tone hammer. That's just me. A lot of different people use different things. I
There's
know
a
that
version
HX
2, by the way, if
are
you want to
really
get your
big
own.
these days. I personally haven't used one. I don't mind the way they sound, but I just love the way that this sounds. So I'm not really in the mood to change, TBH. So this is the center of attention, in my opinion. So I can show you what it's like to not have it on at all. So if I turn off the tone hammer, we're just hearing, obviously we're hearing the buffer, not making a huge difference. We're hearing the RNDI, making a subtle difference as well. I can talk about that later. But this is no tone hammer, no nothing. So that's like a little bit more of your dad bass tone, right? That's all neck pickup, by the way.
It's like Nation of Days,
So-
Dave Memorial type tone.
Yeah. Doesn't sound bad, but it just doesn't have the meat, the grit, the dirt that we're looking for. Why are we
Jerry
looking
is
for
looking
that?
for.
Because honestly, tone is in the mid range. To me, like having good low end as a bass player should be a given. So the way we define our tone is in the mid range, and people hear low end in the mid range. That's the interesting thing, because we don't really hear anything like in those sub-harmonic zones. That's what we feel. So at church, that's what's coming out of the subs. But when people are listening to something on their phone, they're not hearing, their phone isn't reproducing 80 hertz, you know? So what we're hearing are the harmonics of those root notes.
All right, there's the first time that we've heard harmonics. We'll come back to that a lot.
We want to lean into that. We want to give a harmonically rich signal. So the way we do that, if I just engage it, all I'm hearing is the EQ now. But the magic of this pedal, or this preamp rather, is the AGS circuit, or I think it's advanced gain stage, something like that. So this is without. This is with.
What was the difference? What do you guys hear between those two? Why did Jerry go, oh yeah?
Beefier.
Trashy. A lot grittier, more gain.
That's prettier, more game. What did you hear?
I feel like it was less beefier than it was more of just dirty. Like
Yeah,
it actually, I felt like the low end came down just a little bit.
That's what I heard as well.
Yeah, and it just punched through more. Like by doing that, it felt beefier.
Now we're listening to this on a TV speaker. The bass, like when you're in the house here,
Yeah.
the bass is mixed nice and strong on the low end. But so he's really trying to dial in the mid-range area and then the harmonics as well.
As you can hear, we're losing a little bit of that top end, like top end shine, but we're gaining a lot of grit, and we're getting a little natural kind of compression from everything. So I love the way that the tone hammer glues everything together, especially as we start adding things in the chain. Having it at the end kind of helps glue everything together before we send it out, right? So this is huge. This is central, would be my first recommendation. So how do I set up the EQ and everything? This is just how I've learned to do it over the years. This is kind of a good starting place for me, is I kind of have my gain where it is and my master where it is. The gain is the input, the master is the
I
output.
want to take a picture of that
The
tone
gain
hammer.
affects how pretty the tone is.
For his bass, but Isaac had it similar today. Right? Because you've watched this video.
I don't want it that gritty personally, because I'm going to be using some other pedals or techniques to
Also, Tim,
get different
pause
levels
it.
of dynamics. So
having the kilt will also really adjust. Like that makes it. I always play with the tone hammer fully on, also the kilt fully on. So that's also giving you more dirt.
Yeah. So it depends on whether you want to use kilt as a add-on drive section, like he's going to do, because he actually puts the kilt in a fuzz setting, which is kind of cool. Um, so you might have the gain a little less than he is because you're adding kilt as an always on.
Always on.
I'm going to be able to set the game where if I want it to be clean, I can just play a little bit lighter. Or if I dig in with a pick, we still have the same amount of grit. So I want to set this up in a dynamic way. So this is how I usually set my gain and my master. And then I usually kind of have my treble and bass opposing each other. I boost a little bit of low end. Usually I'm ducking just a touch of the top end. This is all going to be dependent on what bass you're using and what pickups you have and all that stuff. The mid zone is where we want to kind of look. So I believe that the mid frequency sweeps from like, oh golly, maybe I want to say it's like 400 to 4K. I don't know. When I'm like dialing it in fresh, what I'll do is I'll kind of just boost the mid level and then I'll listen. And I usually end up somewhere around here, whatever frequency that is. And I usually end up cutting it a similar amount.
You know how dirty that got when that mid level was that much higher?
Yeah,
That's so muddy.
that's exactly right. So that's what we're going to try actually on our tone hammer and one of our basses is to try to boost the mids to get the muddy tone, find exactly where the mud is most prevalent, and then cut it out. And then we'll be, how's it going?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Oh, is the lobby music on?
I think so.
It was when I walked in.
Yeah, so you brought the bass?
I did bring the bass.
Get it?
Am I playing the bass?
You don't have to. Somebody's gonna play it, and then somebody is gonna like sweep the mids. We're gonna try this.
Does anybody want it or am I playing it?
Do it. Oh, you gotta rip it, bro.
Okay.
Play that funky music, white boy.
Oh. I'll play funk.
We need.
Good luck getting it out of there. Oh, there you go.
You listen to funk, Jaron?
Not really.
No?
Oh my goodness.
I like just got into it recently. Just yeah. Really great playlist. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, sent it to me earlier in like high school. I got
Oh,
it a little
sorry.
bit, but
Almost had it.
I don't even know like there was like a Bruno Mars song in there. I don't know if that really counts, but you know.
hey, it does count.
What do you guys play on? Generally, do you guys use the house bass?
I have my own. I have a Fender Precision.
Okay, you got a rockin' P bass. What do
Yeah, I
you
got a P bass.
usually rocking?
I have a Square P bass, but it has like Fender pickups in it. I don't know exactly which one, but I have the Fender Jazz bass.
All right, so this should be nothing on.
Yeah.
Let me make sure that this is flat. All right, Henry, you can come and dial.
Isaac,
So
are
right
you on the
now,
next
neither
bridge?
buttons are on.
This
So
is
the
called
left
P
button
bass.
turns the
So there's a
keys
pickup.
on,
One pickup.
and right button turns on the gain.
It sounded like bridge.
They're both on.
So
Yeah.
I play closer to the bridge,
Okay.
Perfect.
but split coil, literally A tone, A volume.
All right, so Henry's gonna try to dial here, and right now I set all the EQ flat. So I would start out by on. What would we want from here?
Are we getting enough articulation?
So yeah, upping the treble. It's already different than what he has because every bass is different. He has the bass cut a little bit, and we kind of wanted more, but still the mid range sounds really honky and nosy, right? So we're going to make that worse right now. So what Henry's going to find is the mid level, and you're going to go up to like 3 o'clock on that thing.
Play maybe some more.
For a second. So this is the mid frequency. So now you're just going to experiment all the way from the top to the bottom and find where the honkiness is the worst. Go from 3 o'clock to like 9:30. For a second, do you guys notice when we ducked the mid, some of the grit got lost? So we could then at that point adjust the gain up a little bit and see if we can bring some of those harmonics back to the sound.
But you see the difference is now if we
And still get the.
Yeah, you can still get the tone. All right, give me with the full bore with the pick. It doesn't sound the best to me, but I think this speaker is not great for bass.
No.
But like the big takeaway is sweeping the mid range, finding the bad stuff, and then bringing it down is kind of what he's doing with his bass as well. And that's sort of like the big lesson from dialing in the tone hammer is just find that mid range. And
then I this.
I'm curious if we go like this and gain up, is it similar?
I hear more pick.
But with that too, you could bring. You're hearing more pick. You could probably hold the tone. Impressive.
So
But even with this on though, like even with all that on, you can still like pull back and like
up with the fingers actually starting to sound really good.
yeah, so like you can still like
Dial it back.
yeah. Something like that. So yeah, you can still like, even
Yeah.
with all that on, you can totally chill it out and make it super clean.
One last thing that I would be careful about when you're hearing in-ears version of bass, you're not getting quite the same low end that the subs are giving out in the house.
Yeah.
So I would probably recommend being careful with the bass knob and not go up as high as what your ears want to hear.
Sure.
And like make it a little less beefy than you would like. And then if the front of house is like, we need more, then turn it up a little bit. But I'm guessing the in-ears don't reproduce the same level of bass as what the subs
And
are.
something to consider too, when the bass is too high on this, that's where you lose a lot of your articulation, right? So if you have too much bass coming through the house, front of house is going to hear your notes, but they might not be able to articulate exactly what you're playing. It's just going to kind of come out as like a wash. So yeah, by pulling that back, you get a lot more articulation.
So anyway, how long would that take you to dial in? With a little bit of experience, probably about a minute and a half, right? As long as you know that if you set the grit where you want, then that mid sweep and then reset the drive again afterwards once you know how much mids you're cutting, because that really changed the dirt a lot, having the mids pulled back in that low mids is really what's pulling back, which is kind of nice because the left hand of the piano, which is important for a lot of our music, is going to be sitting in that low mids. And EG2 and sometimes EG1 will sit in low mids area as well. And so we cut a little bit of that out of the bass, giving bass the full low end, and then some harmonics up top with the grit to like sit and glue. And it's going to be great. So
what I find too is like playing with your fingers sometimes will give you a little less grip, but also more low end.
yeah.
Like when you play with the pick, it's just like you're getting a lot more tap.
Can you also show this? Play near the bridge with a pick. You're picking or plucking, you can control some EQ.
Yeah, you're
that
playing
as well.
back here especially.
Anyway, let's keep going because
The
his
frequencies that I
kilt
want to make
settings are really cool. And
that's how I
his
set up a tone hammer. Like I
micro-synthetics are
said,
really
very
cool.
central. My first recommendation to people who don't have anything and they're starting fresh. But from there, let's start at the beginning of the chain. So I started with the tone hammer because I feel like it's super important. But let's go from the beginning. So out of my bass, we're running into the Pinstripe Pedals NBFR. To be honest, this might be a little bit of I can't tell if my ears are
right now.
Everyone hypes those buffers up.
or to him. We're taking
I've seen so many guys who like
he'll build it.
raise
He'll
those.
ship it to you.
Okay.
Okay, here we go, micro-synth.
For the hydration? Stay for the
Oh,
YouTube Premium. Fine.
We made it this far before the first ad.
With SafeLight, you can get that fixed now and pay later.
SafeLight offers flexible payment options and anywhere mobile service, so you can get it fixed here, or here, and pay later. Go to SafeLight.com today. SafeLight Repair, SafeLight Replace. This is Lovable, the AI app builder that turns ideas into reality, from small side projects to enterprise.
I would kick it on, and then like 30 or 45 seconds later, it would kind of start to just lose aggression. Like the low end would stay the same,
Talking
but it would
about
just start
our
to,
version of
and
the
I'd have to kind of
micro-synth
turn it off and
not
turn it
being
back on to
super
like get
reliable
that
for him.
aggression back.
So he got a
getting really
big box
frustrated.
old school
So I was like, you know
but
what the heck? I'm gonna buy one of these.
hopefully the
vintage big
settings
box
will do
ones.
some of the
yeah,
same
it's not even
stuff.
that vintage, it's from the 90s. But to me, it not only does it take up a heck of a lot more space, So that's either a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. It just sounds a little, I would say that maybe the low end is a little more full on the modern one, the smaller one. But something about this one, it just has this mid-range aggression that I'm a fan of. And I know it's still digital. Like there's nothing less digital about it to my knowledge, but it sounds less digital to me than the current one. So again, so much of tone and everything is subjective. And I could just be pulling this out of my butt. And I could just be hearing what I want to hear. I have no idea. But to me, it sounds better. It feels better because I don't have that dropping out problem. So overall, whether it sounds better or not, it's more reliable, which is a good thing. This is what it sounds like. This is how you can see. I'm not going to really explain because look at it. You can see it right there. So this is without.
Look at it. That's nice.
That's really good. That's really good.
That's awesome.
So anyway, what I noticed about, let's try to get the settings again. Okay, perfect. So what I noticed about that is it's doing a lot, but it's not over the top. Like, I think that when he cuts out those low mids, he actually helps the micro synth sound pretty good too when it pops on. Okay, so someone come up and see if we can copy this.
Do we have the other side of the tone hammer on right?
All the way down.
So one time,
Did we just have the blue side of the tone hammer?
It's on.
Both on?
Both on. Yeah.
I'm curious what it would sound like without the
octave
kill.
most of the way up. Guitar all the way up. And octave.
Yeah, I think we should take the grit out of the tone hammer.
And square wave 3/4.
I'm curious how he does the fuzz. I
And
feel like
then
the
it's
fuzz on
down,
the
down,
really
up, down.
yeah.
lift the tone.
We have does he have a rate? Oh, he does. Wait.
Rate's all the way down. Stop frequency is all the way up.
The stop is all that?
Yeah.
What is the start?
Down.
All the way down. And resonance all the way down.
And then attack delay? All the way down?
All the way down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you turn off the kilt?
Yeah, pop the kill off.
So it's basically the same synth, just this was newer, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the exact same. Yeah.
Okay, so play just the kilt here. Sorry, just the tone hammer right now. Go ahead.
We're just playing the tone hammer?
Yep. That's not bad. This speaker is not a great bass speaker.
But for that application, I like how you could dig into it still.
Yeah. So what I heard from this speaker is I wanted a little less of the sub and a little less of the octave, and I wanted a little bit more of this of the original note. So I split both of those faders down a little bit. But basically it's these three, it's the four, it's the square wave, which is the synth. The octave is an octave above. Guitar is the root, and then the sub octave is the octave below. So
Something
you guys
to note too with the micro synth. We don't really want to play on our E string. So like, so you notice when that was on, I was up here on my A. So if you play it down here, it's. You hear that?
Yeah.
Growl.
Yeah.
you don't need to play below it. So on the piano, the lowest note on a piano is the A below the A of the bass.
Right.
So if you play below an A, you're actually hearing sub-octave notes that are below a piano.
Yeah, just sort of like.
Does it get reproduced in the speakers? Maybe if your subs are amazing, but he mentions that on here as well. So cool. I'm gonna fast forward to what he does with the kilt, which is pretty cool.
Sounds awesome. Little rule of thumb for you. I try to not play anything
I ruined it.
We talked about that.
Producing that very well. So I don't know. Maybe not no speaker, but just it's a thought. Just keep it in your mind. I try not to. This is the lowest I got. Because to me, its point is to be able to, add a dynamic level, but go high and keep low end, that low root note going. So that's awesome. And then we get to the kill. I rave about this thing all the time. It sounds insane on bass, and I just love it. I just love it so much. So I never want to take it off my baseboard ever. And what I love especially about this one, this is the V1, is it's got a dedicated boost and a dedicated drive. So depending on how you flip these switches, you can either have, let's find out together, okay? So I'm going to switch both switches down, and these switches affect the yellow side. So this is the yellow side with both switches down. So before, so just kind of, honestly sounds really sick. Let's switch one up. Really, like a lot of mid-range there.
You guys hear how you lose a little low end when the kilt is on? The kilt doesn't cut out low end as much as some guitar drive pedals do. But one thing to be aware of, if you're relying on a drive pedal, depending on how the circuit was designed, you could lose some low end. So Jerry, maybe talk about what happened on the recording when we really cranked the kilt for dirt, and then didn't you guys weren't we missing the low end and had to
Yeah, it's my worst nightmare.
talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, for party, we had it sounded incredible, but when we wanted to boost more the low end frequency because the song didn't have a feel, we couldn't because there's no signal there. So we had to reamp the dirty signal on a plugin that sort of did like an octave, but for some of the notes it didn't work. So for party, you hear the bass in some, and some parts of it loses it.
Yeah.
So as we recorded it with the signal, so that's why we have two outputs now. It's a clean and a dirty. So
Clean coming out of here, dirty coming out of the tone.
Yeah, so you have the clean coming out for it to be like a second option. And it's pretty normal, they say, for records, you have a clean because when you want to get a more feel, you just boost your clean signal. But then the other channels, obviously, for your effects.
Are we running that live, or is that just for recording situations?
Just for recordings. Live, they just use that signal that you give them.
So just be aware of that if you're going to use the kilt on bass and you're going to make it drive a lot. That could affect the low end root note thing.
What you can do though too is because the tone hammer is the end of the chain, you can bump the bass up a little bit, and that'll help you out there.
But anyway, when he was doing those switches, I heard, even on the TV speaker, I heard the low end cut out a little bit.
SG2, yeah.
And guitar players, that'll happen when we kick in drive pedals as well, which is a good thing because we don't want.
This is the way I use it. If you
Low
flip
end
them both up,
distorted.
it's a fuzz.
So he uses the kilt as a fuzz.
Yeah.
Other thing I love about the V1 is it's got this low cut switch. So I obviously keep that off because we're playing bass. We want all that.
All right. So really cool video. Bethel Bass Tone Part 1, David Funk. You guys can go and study it a little bit more as well. But yeah, we kind of have a board that's modeled after the Bethel tone. So that's a good guy to get a starting point. Your basses all sound different. Gearson, when Gearson plays you have a P bass. That your bass pickups seem to have a lot of mids in them. We've had a couple times when we've tried to dial in your tone a little bit. So you might want to you can mess with the mid sweep on this and get your bass sounding great, but it's not necessarily going to be the same settings as the church bass. Isaac back in the day had this Gibson that was all mids. It was it's basically this cool bass that sounds killer, but it's all this mid-range content, and like we had to really dial it in carefully. And sometimes you just had to, you were like, I just got to go use a P bass or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
To try to get the tone that we wanted on some of those early recordings. But every bass has its own character, which is great. Every instrument should, and how your hands interact with your instrument should. None of you guys should sound exactly the same. But the idea of finding the muddy mids and taming them, and then layering dirt for the harmonics to glue in the mix, but also with touch be able to be cleaner. So I was looking over today in our behind speaker moments, Isaac's finger picking, and then when we are getting back into war, you know, he's back with the pick. Yeah. Those are decisions that are really smart, and if you set up the tone, you can have a lot of control of how much grit and how much energy just from how you're attacking your instrument, and all of that. So.
Yeah, and I would say too, like for bass players, if you're using your own bass guitars, just coming in early to dialing in, like, you know, to take some time. And I would say, you know, for me, it's funny, like there's different days with guitars, but I have a picture on my phone for the Church Electric board that every time I use my Strat, I recall that photo, and my guitar always sounds like 95% there.
Yeah.
Like, I might tweak a couple that are not in the photo. So I would just say, as you dial in that bass tone, you're like, man, this sounds incredible. Take a photo of the settings, because those settings are pretty easy to see on there, and then just, you know, rock that. Don't assume that it's going to sound great just pulling up from what someone did last week.
Yeah, and also too, just because I like play a blended tone between the kilt and the tone hammer, like you don't need to do that. Like if you want to just have the majority of your tone come through the tone hammer and just use the kilt for certain sections, like you're going to have different settings on there.
If you want to do like experiment with the fuzz tone thing, I think that he had both switches up.
Turn it on, it should turn red.
Maybe
Down it's blue.
that's gonna be gnarly. That's gonna be fantastic.
It's a lot. That's crazy.
I dialed it just slightly. Try one more time. For that one. Like just both switches down this game. But if you want to try fuzz, both switches up, it's sort of closer to what you're hearing there.
That's pretty crazy.
That's pretty crazy. It's like you. It's not quite micro. It's like a little Velcro-y.
Yeah.
Which is sort of what the fuzz can do. It's
my nightmare.
It's more like texture. You don't like.
Because like I do a lot of.
It works in situations.
Yeah.
It works in situations.
Like I do a lot of. I hate when I'm coming down.
Bass guys, any thoughts, questions? We're gonna switch over to a couple of guitar things, but the harmonics, dynamics, and EQ are still gonna be sort of what we're talking about. But any
Do
things?
you guys want to rip this and like try and like dial in like something that you guys like?
I should have brought my bass. I would have done it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good too. I just to clarify, so the first step in dialing it in is to do you start with finding the gain that you like, correct? And then you do the frequency or
I would start with treble and bass to what you like first, and then mess with the mids.
Then the mid and then the gain?
And then I would, yeah. So I'm always like, once I change the mids, the gain will usually change. So then I readjust it again afterwards.
And just so it's the mid level all the way up, and then you find where it's like the muddiest or whatever. And
Yeah, you might not need it all the way up. I would probably go around 2:30 or 3 o'clock, and that'll be enough to find the muddiness. But
Okay,
if you want to try to go all the way up, you. Cool.
Cool.
All right. If somebody, Nate, maybe you could switch out the baseboard for the guitar board, and I'm gonna find a new video for us for inspiration, and we'll go about half an hour on the guitar side of things, and then we'll get you guys out of here. So.
Love it.
I think I'm on.
Anyone expert on using YouTube on a TV?
Or backsliding?
Try that.
That's fine. I'm gonna go. Nate, would you run this back with tape in here so I can plug it in?
that's a good cover video.
What? Oh,
You want to run that back?
Ben found him. I'm gonna poke this up.
Just gonna. 300.
Oh,
Speaker doesn't sound very good.
I see what.
It actually sounds like trash, actually. Throw it in the garbage.
Throw it in the garden.
When we're done with it, let's see the speaker on board.
iPhone sounds better than that.
Put people out of the misery.
Oh, Isaac.
What's up?
I got a box like 10.
I'll take it.
I'm
That was plugged into something.
really
Oh, okay.
unimpressed with how that speaker.
Oh yeah, I do need that.
I just feel like the low end's not.
I guarantee you put that same. Morning, y'all.
Morning.
And like, yeah, probably right.
This guy is a yapper. Like he goes on so many tangents.
y'all.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Saturday. It's freaking Saturday.
So I've got
tell them the first
I gotta find the where I'm starting here.
One of the things about mattresses too is they really don't like being run clean. Like it sounds
1140.
a recording video, man.
What's your top playlist, Tim?
Jake Faber. He's a church player and also plays professionally for some
Oh,
artists.
hello.
This is a little bit different.
Oh,
No, it changed videos on me.
morning, y'all. Happy Saturday. It's freaking.
No,
Howdy, y'all. Hope you're doing well.
I'm very upset right now.
It is
Go back to the previous video.
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Morning, y'all. Happy Saturday. It's freaking Saturday.
I've done this already. I want to get to 11 minutes, 40 seconds without it skipping to a new video. All right. This one's going to be a little controversial.
Oh boy.
Clean. Like it sounds fine, but it doesn't sound like the amp. It kind of just, I don't know. It doesn't. There's something about it. It just doesn't like clean sound. It wants to be run a little bit dirtier.
This
Like
is
the
typically the
breakups.
matchless
And
H30.
at that point, that's when all the harmonics speak. So with harmonics, like it's a series of notes that are happening above the foundational note. So if I play like middle C.
He has this fat filter EQ. This peak right here is the middle C. So These other peaks are the harmonics above and below. You can have subharmonics as well. So that's what he's talking about. When you have an amp that's cooking a little stronger, the harmonics speak differently than when it's clean. If you just did like a synthesized sine wave, it would only have the one peak. It would sound more like a flute, but a guitar has a little different character to it.
That's a great day.
See, Isaac.
You can see that there is the foundational note, but then there's a bunch of other notes that are happening above it. Forget exactly what it is, but it's like you get the octave above, the fifth above that, and then I think another octave, and then another octave, and then the third. Like you can start to pick out all of those harmonics that are happening above the foundation as the note decays out. So what that is kind of like a theory of synthesis. Like a synthesizer can manipulate its harmonic series to sound like a flugelhorn or a trumpet or whatever. Like it can sound like all of these things. This specific harmonic series here, it's like that's what makes it sound like a guitar. So if we're not like cooked here, it's if we're not setting the amp properly here, then all those harmonics really aren't helping us out in a mix, in a band. So all of those, like setting the amp hotter helps you kind of like separate yourself in the portion of the mix that you're sitting in. And you stand out, not that you're going to like overpower everything else, but you will be able to stand out and you'll like make more sense in context. I'm just going to demonstrate a little bit of like how to set this amp. It is a little bit farther away, but
Cool thing about this is
I'll talk about
no
what I'm
drive
doing.
pedals, no nothing.
Caveat about his father.
Where I want the amp to sit.
Strips his amps
Right now.
so dirty.
Yeah.
Like, way dirtier than most people.
Correct. That's what's going to be controversial. This is going to be a dirtier bass tone than a lot of people like to do.
I actually don't like how dirty my amp personally.
All those notes feel so warm and beautiful and supportive. Position. But if I go to the bridge, and this is where I set the amp to, because like with these pickups, it's like typically the bridge position is quite a bit hotter. So as I'm setting the amp, I want to set it to its top dynamic and its most output, I guess. So that way, like when I flip to the bridge position, you cooked.
And that's without a drive pedal.
It's just a lot.
It's still breaking up a little bit there. It's obviously breaking up more here, and the fact that, I mean, just the frequencies push different portions of the amp.
Yeah.
If I set the amp like to this, let's say I set the amp to the neck pickup, right? So then I'm gonna have to like compensate in the high end and the bass.
This is where it gets
So it's
really
probably gonna be like this. Ah, there it is. Even then, you start to hear that like, yeah, that 2K kind of thing. I don't really want that, especially when I go to the bridge pickup.
I think my tone has a problem where it has too much in that 2 to 4K. I'm learning to try to dial it back a little bit.
And all that low is going to get kind of chopped anyway. At least it should, but I do want to feel a little less high-end information. Like, that's pretty right for the note. The bridge, it's kind of like, not great.
It's got like an ISO around it.
It's just got a little bit of kind of 2K up to 4K kind of region. We don't want that. That's my producer buddy. We were hanging out the other day, and he called it the death zone, and I like that.
So if you have a rig that you can actually EQ by frequency, guitar players experiment with not going too hot in the 2 to 4K range. It's where a lot of vocals sit. Of course, rightly so, we mix our vocals to be the top heard thing for someone. So what's going to happen is front of house is going to go, I can't hear the vocal, what's in the way? And then they're going to find your guitar and just shut you down. So anyway, that's something that I learned a lot from, because I heard it. Like when he dialed it for the neck pickup, I heard that like that kind of thing.
So a little more bass, a little less treble. About right. So then even when I go here, it's beautiful and full.
I like how that shows that, kind of like we were talking about with the bass, you can dial a bass tone with a little bit of drive and you can still play clean.
Yeah.
And I'm going to switch over to another video in just a second. I wanted to show this first. But Tone Shepherd is a guy who does captures for Tonex. And he has and captures for other things too. So he has a preset for the song Wash, and it's on Quad Cortex, this video that I'll show. But what's really interesting is he plays it with the track, and then he solos it. And you start to realize the soloed sound has more grit than it sounds like in the mix. Like when you're in the mix, even a dirty tone can sound clean in the mix if you're dialing it in this way, which is, I think, really, really interesting.
Elmer's pretty good at that.
It's a different mix context. For him, his guitar is like the number one thing in the mix.
Beyond?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, his guitar can get dirty when he wants to play dirty.
Yes.
But when he's real soft, like slow dancing and bring room, it's like pretty clean.
It is pretty clean. And that's the thing, you can dial your amps cooking, like he says, cooked. You say it's cooked.
His amp is running hot.
Yeah.
If you were, it would like be blowing our eardrums out if we were in this room.
But that sounds really clean when he's backed off, which is really cool that you have that much dynamics available to you.
I think that's the thing too. Like, I think with Jake, he is really good at playing like with a ton of dynamic. So like he can play really soft and get it really clean, and then when he digs in, it gets like really dirty. I think the way I play, like I like to have a little bit more consistency. So like I run my amps a little bit not as hot, so like a little bit quieter.
Yeah.
And I use drives to get that. And there's not really like a right or wrong way to do it, but if you run your amps that hot, you have to be really, really careful about how much you're digging in. It can get out of control fast.
Yeah, that's good. I would say if you have a hot hand or like a heavy hand, not a hot hand, a heavy hand, and you strum pretty hard, or even for bass players, if you play really hard, you're really into it, probably not a good idea to have that dirty of an amp.
Yeah.
If you like having a lot of dynamics controlled in your right hand versus your pedals and things like that, that would be my preference. I would rather play a hotter amp because I like playing a lot of dynamics with my hand.
The hotter amp gives you the benefit of those, a little bit more of that harmonic series, which can allow you to sit in the mix without being loud in the mix. Clean guitars sound amazing, but are tricky to dial in for as dense a mix as we have. I'm going to show you though a clean example. Very clear. Okay. All right. This is one of my favorite clean tones I've ever heard on YouTube. But I want to show you something that he does. It'll be John Mayer-ish.
If you want to get better tone, just listen to John Mayer.
I'm listening to the "Good Love Is on the Way" song. You know that one? That's a good one.
The fact that he does that with three people is ridiculous.
That's actually great.
The trio is my favorite stuff, John.
Isn't that by Good Love Is on the Way? Is that Jimi Hendrix? Good Love Is on the Way. Isn't that a cover, I think, that John Mayer does?
My friend actually just sent me this. He said this is gonna be his next tone.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Your friend playing?
No, but my friend's actually gross at guitar. I don't understand it.
That tone sounds dope. That's a very circuit rider kind of tone with that. What is that vibrato in there?
And we'll do modulation and wet effects another time.
Oh yeah,
that's really
brand
important.
new Hustler from Star Guitars. And I think this line of guitars is going to rival one of the big.
I get myself one of those.
I need a hustler guitar.
90 action.
Also the hustle. Like this. Love is on the way.
One of these days, I'm gonna get my brother-in-law's Let's Walk special. That's P90s.
This is
Try
a
it.
brand new Hustler from Star Guitars.
Doesn't one of Justin's have P90s?
I don't know actually.
Love is on the way.
You guys ever play Red Rocks here?
Oh yeah, not as much of it. There's played good plans for the longest time, and then it's actually the only Red Rock song. I think about it. Red Rocks is great though. We're actually playing a new one this next month. The Lord is with me.
That song is great. Our parts of that song are good too.
And the fire. I'm gonna bow now.
That drum part is really good too.
Oh goodness.
The church itself is actually really small,
Ridiculous.
which really surprised me.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What, like 10,000?
No, like it's like a smaller building than this is.
Oh, the church building
Like,
size.
yeah, like the building
yeah.
itself.
It is a small building, but they are a big church still. Like 6 campuses, I think.
Yeah, they have one in like Spain.
There we go. No, not short.
How to use an overdrive. So got a better TV. The Lord is with me.
Good Mighty Name of Jesus for a first song.
Sir.
You have it on your phone, you might be able to like.
Can't because I'm not on the correct Wi-Fi for it.
What is up, YouTube?
What are you trying to look for, Tim?
That full-length video, the most beautiful clean tones.
Victor amp sounds so good.
So go to the microphone.
Maybe if
Click on shorts. It should give you a shortcut to the video.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Press down for now. That's very John Mayer. Say it.
I went and saw him in Arizona a couple years
John
ago.
Mayer?
Maybe if you could like go right.
He's a dream, bro.
I'm gonna
It
go.
was like
I'm gonna go
90%
Victory.
acoustic guitar. I was kind of a little disappointed, but
90%.
like that's like all he played. It was just him.
Dude, I'll tell you what, the John Mayer. Oh, I did actually.
Actually, a cool tour.
Him on acoustic though is still mind blowing.
No, it is. Sure. How many concerts you guys been to?
I've been to 2 John Mayer concerts. Actually 3
No, just like in general.
concerts.
Yeah.
I've probably like to 10, 15.
Okay.
I've been to 3 there. John Mayer.
What if you? I haven't kept count. I think I've seen John Mayer 3 times.
John Mayer, Bruno Mars, and Tori Kelly were by far.
I can say as my
Oh, you
opinion.
saw Bruno Mars? That'd be a lot of fun.
You saw Tori Kelly?
She was a baller. I saw her when I was in high school, and I bought a shirt that said, "I'm a married one day." Got upgraded to my wife.
We saw Pentatonics.
Huh?
We've seen Pentatonics twice, but the first time we saw them, they still had the Audi, and it was incredible.
I want to see Paramore. That'd be a dream.
Paramore would be sick.
Oh, that I would love. I can't believe it almost on you. Man, they're so dope.
Let's see.
They're so relevant still. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, it was funny though because Cass and I were dating, and she was like, "Who's your dream crush? Like dream celebrity?" I said Tori Kelly. I said, "Who's your?" Or I asked her first. She said Jimmy Fallon. I said, "Oh, okay, I'd understand." And she goes, "How about you?" I said, "Tori Kelly." She goes, "Nah, you have to pick another one that's too realistic." Does it have a chance? I was like, "Oh, sweet."
Okay, so what I'm hoping that you guys can see is he has the tone controls up in the top right. And there's a point where he has the amp all the way up.
Oh, yeah.
In the top right, there's gonna be a time where he rolls it back to half, plays a clean lick, and then rolls it back up to full again.
Guitar.
Like a $4,000.
Someone Godfather play.
Check out. He's an Orlando guitar player. Volume is still all the way up.
Yeah.
Is this a clean tone that you guys would like?
Oh yeah.
It definitely has a little bit of hair to it, just a smidge.
I had a little more love into it, actually.
Yeah.
A little slanky on the strap.
Pretty incredible vocab were there. Slanky.
Slanky,
A little slank for me.
A little slanky, especially with the neck pickup. Like, I just get a little more beef out of the neck.
I feel like there's not much context where we would be this dry though. Like he's got some reverb in there.
Oh, I think
You
yeah.
would have delays. You would have probably more reverb.
That is true, but I would say, however, when you're starting the chain of your guitar or even your bass,
Right.
you need to know how to dial in your amp before you add any of the effects, because that will make or break it. If you get an incredible setup of your chain, but there's 3 settings off on the Ruby,
Right.
it will make your whole entire setup sound.
Right.
So to your point, you are correct, Timmer. Although I would say when we're dialing in tones, amp is like the first place.
Totally, 100%.
It's like amp out.
Oh well, this might not work.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry. So let's just talk about the Ruby then. So the reason why I wanted to show Jake's video first and talk about the fact that his amps are dialed really hot is he was specifically dialing a matchless, which is this style of circuit. So the Ruby is a classic AC30 style circuit. And I have had trouble dialing in cleans on the Ruby. Jake is suggesting this style amp likes to get pushed a little bit more. And so I'm just curious if we want to try dialing it in real quick to something that we like and just see how hot it is. And then think about the context of it. So someone want to grab a guitar?
Yeah.
I would. There's a couple of them in there from this past week.
The Lord is with me.
Airplay to this TV. It doesn't need permission.
That's because he was off, so probably.
Let's try. I think I'm on any private. So that might be able
All right. Nate and Jake are our guitar players, but the bass players can come up and look at this too, because this is sort of a by-ear thing as well. Yeah, Ryan too. Come on up close, because you gotta. The Ruby is weird. The Ruby is really weird, so I want to show you how this works. I turned it off.
I'll say I might be able to airplay it out. If you want to play another
Okay,
video.
well, let's try this
Okay,
first, though.
cool.
Okay, so there are 3 different channels of an AC30. If you can see this far switch, brilliant, normal, or vibrato. And the brilliant channel is the one that we kind of want to dial in. So the switch starts up for this. And then, is it plugged in?
Yeah. Very low. Yeah, on the back.
Do we have the drums here?
We're not ready. Well, right now we're just Okay, so our output is cranked right now because our speaker is not very high. The way you start this is cut all the way down because the cut knob will cut out high end later. We want to start with it wide open. The thing that's weird about the brilliant channel is bass and treble work in reverse of what you would think. So turning up the bass knob cuts bass. All the way down is as much bass as the amp gives. And that's because you modeled it after how the original amps were. So the 1960s boxes had this reverse bass and treble. So this is full treble all the way down and much darker. So what's really weird is the treble and the cut are going to work same way, but at different here. So anyway, right now we're at 9 o'clock on the volume. This is so I'm just curious what happens. Now we've got a little bit of hair on the note. Bring it all the way up and go bridge position so it's the hottest. So, cut out some of the heavily and great stuff. Some dribble. So this is compressor pedal, no delay. If we can get the guitar to sound and feel like we have dynamic control, so now go to the middle position and then lighten up the touch and see how clean it
Master volume down a little bit. Kind of build. I'm like I play a unique. I play mostly on my bridge pickup. Like that's kind of where I live. I always try to keep
If you dial it in slightly harder, the beat itself will compress a little bit, it will sag a little bit. So sometimes if it's feeling really up to like 10:30, and it'll actually just push the quote unquote tubes a little bit more. And then after you light the amp, then Jake, are you're in probably not dial the ratio up super high. Attack and return at new. Can feel a little bit more
is also just like maybe take a picture of the board and get to know some of the pedals a little bit. Like I think with the Ruby, it really helps. Kind of like what Tim was saying earlier, like how it's modeled off of like an old '60s AC30 with like those controls. Because like it'd be really easy just to throw that bass all the way up to be like, why am I
Where's
doing
the
no
bass?
bass?
Right.
Another thing that's kind of interesting is like it's got the speaker selection and
Oh yeah.
like
I didn't mention
traditionally like you'll see it's like blue, I think silver and green. Those are the different speakers that came with it. So like traditionally like actually yeah, mine too. To know that type of stuff, like traditionally that tube screamer is going to be a really, really big like mid-range bump, which if you're playing like a Strat into an AC30, you're already going to be pretty bright. So I probably tend to avoid adding a tube screamer, which is going to make it even brighter and brighter and brighter. So like it's just good to kind of know like some of the ins and outs of like some of the pedals, so that it can help kind of inform some of those decisions of like you could quickly be like, oh, it's too bright. Let me switch to the greenbacks, or man, my drives are just really like, tearing my head off. Like maybe I'm gonna switch to decline over the
when that happens.
to screamer. Yeah, it's just good to kind of know some of the.
And one of the two screamer too, when we put that up, that one is I only use it really as a boost, like just low gain, almost none, and then just raise a level on it. So just even having that understanding too of how you're approaching it, of like, oh, that's just a boost knob, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I always keep the Morning Glory on almost always, but then like the red remote is if I want to get into a massive section of a song, and then if I want to get dirtier, I go to the Klon, you know. But the Klon is like the one trick pony. It's like the equivalent to like what I would say is a micro synth on the bass guitar. I'm not gonna use it all the time, but for here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So closing things that I've been learning as I sort of prepped for this from tone wise is we at Engedi we have a very dense mix, so we got to be really intentional with how we dial in EQ. I think that you guys are incredible musicians, and so I would encourage you to try to dial in your amp or tone hammer to give you dynamic range with how you play the instrument. So maybe experimenting with a little bit more drive, but learning how to dial back the volume knob or lighten your attack for cleans. That might sit in our mix a little easier than a really straight clean tone, which kind of has to be turned up a little bit to be heard. Some songs though, Wash has a very clean tone, and then hopefully front of house will know that and they'll put the guitars where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So like part of what we do is we want to dial in something that allows the front of house to do their job well too.
Yeah.
So if we give them a really good starting tone, and they're like they can easily cut off some low end if we're in the way of the bass or in the way of the left hand of the piano. That's fine. They can do that. We trust them because they're amazing at what they do, and Justin has his team just cooking and dialed in. So, but yeah, you guys are awesome musicians. So experiment when you dial your tone to take advantage of how you play your instrument. Because when I get into a mode of like of worship, like bringing an offering to the Lord, I want my musicianship to be part of that. So that I don't always am just every note I play is at the same level and sounds exactly the same, but I'm playing a melody after a vocal sings. I might play the melody after them, and I want that to be dynamic. So I'm just trying to learn how to dial in my tone to allow for that worshipfulness to come out of what I'm doing and it being an offering to the Lord. So yeah.
I think it's great.
All this technical thing, being excellent as this brings God glory. And so like that's just taking it around back to the spiritual aspect of what we do. But it's such an honor to be on team with you guys. And we'll just keep doing hangs like this every once in a while. And every once in a while, we'll go super nerdy technical like this. And you guys can take it further and go down the YouTube rabbit hole and find your own videos that like, you're like, oh, that's helping me out. But we'll also spend time in the future talking about how to find the right parts, how to write parts if we're, working on brand new and Engedi stuff too. So, but it's just fun to hang out, and we're all trying to do similar stuff. So
that's good. Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Jake.
I'd encourage you guys to like one of the things I love to do, like the videos that Tim had today were like so good. Like honestly, just going on YouTube and like seeing how guys like some guys from Bethel or Jake Fogger is another great resource. Trying to think of other guys that really like Tone Shepherd's really good. Because they all kind of bring a different thing to the table. Like what I love to do is like seeing a guy like Jake, if he's running his amp super hot, like give it a try. Like I'll try to crank my amps up. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, like that's not for me, but that works for Jake really well.
That's how you set everything else.
Yeah. So just experiment. Like find what you like. Like I gravitate a lot towards like the Bethel guys, and I try to like that sound is really what I kind of hear in my head when I'm trying to dial in my guitar. So they have a lot of good resources. But yeah, just kind of experiment, get to know the gear that you have, and just like try to take some of those. I guess the way they're doing it, and just like figure out, which way. There's not like one way that's right. There's so many different ways that we could do it to achieve that, like, really solid tone.
And I would just say too, like, well, first off, Tim, thank you for putting this together. This is awesome, and really appreciate it. And yeah, I think the goal is to try to get maybe once or twice a year together, just to like bro out on electrics and bass. Like, they're so fun to talk about. But I would say, for me as like the worship pastor, when I'm listening to the band, like to Tim's point, we're a big band, and a lot of churches don't have that. And it's a dense mix, and like some of us might be going, well, what's the point? Why do we have that many people? And I would say, like, it really does, I think, separate our church from just a church that gives God worship through praise and worship, but then a church that writes music together. Some of my favorite worship teams and bands were massive bands together. Like Hillsong United is a great example of.
Oh, they had four electrics
back in the day. Like when I grew up, they had 4 electric players playing. They had a drummer, and then they had like a percussion channel before Perk even came out. 2 or 3 piano players, and you go, well, that's so dumb. Like, that's an overkill. But when you listen to it and you hear how each of them play to each other, I mean, it's one of the best sounding bands I've ever listened to in my life. And I think tone really does make or break it. I think a good musician learns their parts. A great musician learns their tone for how to accompany their parts. Like, like Wash is a great example because Wash, if you had a really dirty bass or like Drive was just not bass, a really dirty electric, and it was like your distortion was on even like
I go
like even like
the wet effects for it too. I mean, you put too much delay on that, or
it has to be really tight.
So like Jake's electric or Jake's setup, like would not you Jake, but like the one we watched, how hot his amps were probably would have fit that song well.
Not for Wash.
So like, how do you adapt? Like, how do you dial in tone? And my prayer for our team this year is really dialing it. And honestly, it's intimidating, but it only takes one thing at a time. And I encourage you, what is the one thing this month I'm going to dial in? I'm going to dial in just my amp. I'm just going to find out how my amp sounds good. I'm going to spend a month on that. Then the next month's, all right, my what effects, or whatever it is. Just dialing it in and be a master of it, where it's like.
Start with amp because it's EQ.
Yeah.
And it's amp compression and harmonics, like we heard. Then the compressor going with that as like a pairing is super important. If you get that, the wet effects and stuff becomes so much easier.
Yeah, that's good. But anyway, I just think like the sound of Engedi music is on a live recording team that happens once a year. It's every Sunday morning, and so you guys are a part of the Engedi music sound. Even though I can't have 10 electric players and 3 bass players on a live recording. We could, but we, like, even though we can't, the Engedi music sound is on a Sunday morning. Yeah. So how do we make Sunday morning sound great, fun, and honestly, the better we dial it in, when you're a musician that plugs up next to another musician, and you're like, bro, your tone is sick. Yeah. It's inspiring. It's like, absolutely. It's like, dude, it makes me want to have fun today. When you are, and we've all been there. Not that it would be here, but I'm sure there might be some Sundays that it's like that. But when you're playing with a band that everyone's tone is just off, and you could, not that it's off, but you could just tell people weren't intentional with how they picked it. It just sounds like noise today, and it's a big, big difference. I think Xavier Cole, who plays our live recordings piano, is a good example of that. That man knows that organ in and out. And when he comes out, he makes the organ sing like none of the team has ever heard. And why? Because he spends hours just, what does that button do? What does that button do? I wonder what that does. And now he comes in and he's the one that always updates it and gives us presets for Sunday morning. Like he just knows it. So anyway, just encourage you guys. You guys are doing a great job. But this year, let's just keep going for it.
Well, all right, I'll pray for us and then we can get out of here. Enjoy your Sunday. Lord Jesus, we are so grateful first for you. We get to celebrate your resurrection every Sunday. And it's just so amazing that we get to do that with music. Music is such a gift from you. And we just thank you for this team and everyone who's here who is just seeking after your heart and just wants to glorify you through the gifts and talents you've given us. And so thank you for the opportunity to hang out, to just nerd out about gear a little bit and how to dial it in. But just having that focus that it's all for you. It's for your glory. Lord, we just ask that you would give us a sound to bring that would make your name famous. And just continue to grow our musicianship, grow our team, give us unity and not division, so that we can show the world who you are and your love for them. And we just thank you for this time. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Salute.